Armed and dangerous, ain't too many get banged with us. Label us, no calling us.
So I recently just watched Fast X, the first part of a trilogy which will mark the end of the Fast and Furious movie series. This will be a spoiler-free review since there is a pretty big fan base for this franchise and I don't want to spoil the fun for anybody, so let's go. The plot's actually kind of simple. Dom is met with Dante, someone who's out to seek revenge against Dom for what happened to his dad, who was the villain in Fast 5. That's all I can say for a spoiler-free review, but now let's get into the pros of this movie. First off, Jason Momoa as Dante is just so awesome. Basically, just to say Dante is kind of like one of those silly but also kind of evil villains that you might see in a movie. It's kind of similar to the Joker in a way. But I just really like Dante in this movie. And here's the thing. Dante always seems to have kind of the upper hand when it comes to facing Dom sometimes. This is definitely a much bigger foe than Dom has probably ever faced. Even a couple of characters that you might think that's on Dom's side will actually shock you for what they do next. And while the story is very simple, it's also packed with a bunch of action and non-stop entertainment and fun. This movie does have a very strong emphasis on family. I feel like that should be obvious because Dom has always been the one that's mostly been serious about family. That's basically what this series is known for, plus with all the memes and everything. You actually get a few family movie type moments with Jacob, who is Dom's brother, played by John Cena, and Dom's son. Honestly, I thought it was kind of nice to get some family moments between the two, and I thought it was actually kind of nice for a Fast and Furious movie. And look, I know a lot of us didn't like Fast 9. I thought it was a bit overrated. But I always liked John Cena in the movie. Because in that movie, he was all serious and stuff. And all serious and stuff from what happened between Dom and his dad. But yeah. And because they buried the hatchet, Jacob is just like not really much of a serious character anymore. He's actually kind of the silly uncle type person. If you watched Uncle Buck, you know that movie's funny. But anyway, he's basically cool with the family, and he's just like a chill uncle to Dom's son. Basically, the dude's a family man now. Brie Larson's character is kind of nice. I forgot what her name was in the movie, but it was a nice addition to the Fast and Furious movies. I do think the comedy was actually pretty good in this movie. If any of us have seen the movies, Tej and Roman are usually the comic reliefs of the franchise, but even then, they have their own little unique parts in the family, which is pretty nice. Honestly, those are one of my favorite Fast and Furious characters, if I'm being honest here. The soundtrack for this movie is actually fire. I do recommend listening to it. I think one of my personal favorites are actually Won't Back Down and My City.
Take me back to the people that call my people, yeah. I'm a long way from my city, my city.
I think personally my favorite soundtrack is probably the soundtrack for Fast 8. This movie definitely felt like it was going back to like prime Fast and Furious, like after Fast and Furious 4, but before Fast 9. And while I do think this movie tops Fast and Furious 5 and 8, as for 6 and 7, I think I actually need to rewatch those movies because I do remember them being pretty good. Something that also happened at the movie theaters was that when I actually went to go see this, I went to go see this movie in IMAX. So the movie theater actually gave us kind of some free stuff a bit, I guess you can say. I don't know how to call it. But, yeah, me and my dad actually got, like, these, Fast and Furious cards, actually. There is Letty, there is Shaw, oh shoot, that card just trying to run, Han, there is Roman. We somehow got two, Tej cards somehow, I don't know why. I forgot what this villain's name was, but I just know that she was like a big villain in Fast 8. She had some way of contributing to the antagonist in Fast 9. I just completely forgot about what happens in that movie. Then there's Brie Larson's character. I forgot her character name. I don't know why. I forget this character's name too, but she's kind of like one of the geniuses of the family. And finally, we got Mia, Dom's sister. Yeah, that's basically kind of it. But yeah, this is just like a little nice collection that we kind of have now. So yeah, that's about it. But now let's talk about the cons or anything that I was kind of mixed with. Well, I did think the comedy was pretty good. I think a couple of jokes didn't really land as much, or they were funny, but they also felt like a bit unnecessary for me. I think when it comes to going to another part or like the next part of the story, the characters are talking like pretty fast to where I can't even like catch what they're saying. Like I actually had to like ask my dad, who was sitting right next to me, if I heard what they were saying right, just so that way I didn't miss anything for what they said, and if I somehow missed anything. There is a character in the movie that I'm pretty sure is another addition to the Fast family, but it's a bit random for when we find out that this new character is actually related to someone that Dom knew from Fast 5, actually. But I didn't mind it a bit, so it was a whatever. And yes, there is a cliffhanger. I mean, this is the first part of a trilogy, so of course there would be a cliffhanger to look forward to the next part, of course. But it's where a familiar character returns who we all thought was dead. I'm not gonna spoil who, don't worry, but when it leaves the shot on the character, it cuts to the credits, which might leave a lot of people confused to what's gonna happen and everything. How did this happen? Stuff like that. How did this certain character come back? But I'm pretty sure it's gonna be the similar situation with what happened in Fast 9, where we all thought Han was dead, but it turns out he just faked his death because Mr. Nobody told him to, kind of. Or him and Mr. Nobody were working together to fake his death for something. I forgot what it was. And let's be honest here, we don't really remember what happens in Fast 9 besides Dom and Jacob's feud and literally going up to space. Why? I probably should mention who Mr. Nobody is. He is someone he's like a head of this big agency who's actually worked with Dom and his family since Furious 7, actually. But basically what I'm trying to say is, it looked like Han died in a car crash. Turns out he faked his death. What now? And with this certain character returning, when we all thought this certain character was dead, it will leave a lot of people confused. But I am kind of interested on how they're gonna explain how this certain character comes back. I think something that I thought was interesting when I was looking up other reviews on YouTube for this movie, and it was that a lot of people said that the dialogue was a bit off or just kind of bad. I don't know if I'm at that point to criticize dialogue yet, maybe just because I don't know if I can tell when the dialogue is bad. I can tell when there's bad acting, and the acting is fine in this movie. Well, you already know that Jason Momoa is like the highlight of that movie, let's be honest here. But like I said, yeah, that's all I can kind of say for pros and cons, not gonna lie. So, yeah. So for Fast X, I think I'm gonna get this movie a solid 8.7 out of 10. I just really had a lot of fun with this movie. It's a fun, entertaining, action-packed movie with cars, and I love it. There is actually one mid-credit scene where okay, I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but just make sure when you go, I highly recommend watching this movie, and when you go watch it, there is a mid-credit scene. So stay for that. Trust me, you will be pleasantly surprised for what happens. But that's going to be it for the video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and follow me on Twitch if you can. Link in the description below. And I'll see you guys next time.